Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Irish Sports Pages. I hope you're all doing very well today. The story that I'm going to tell you guys today really kind of hits home for me personally because it was, 36 years ago, upcoming March 18th of 1990, where I was at the Isabella Stewart Gardiner Museum, and I was there on a field trip in the sixth grade, and the paintings there are about 13 of them that were stolen. But I remember these paintings. A few of them really stood out to me, and one of those was the Storm of the Sea of Galilee, and this thing was massive. And photographs don't do this painting justice whatsoever. It was really very, very beautiful. It really was. Really an amazing painting, and it was right next to the door that I remember. I must have stared at this thing for like 15, 20 minutes, just seeing all the brush strokes and the work itself. It really stood out. It really did. And that wasn't the only thing that stood out to me. There was something from Napoleon's coronation too that I saw going in, and that was like it really didn't fit with other museum pieces, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was until much later. But then you had another painting that has been stolen, and it was Vermeer's The Concert, or the music lesson. And this thing really, you couldn't miss this thing if you tried. It was amazing. And uh, to me, like looking back on it, uh, there was a piece of furniture that you'd have to like either, I think, have to have a stool or something to get up to actually reach the painting to take it down. Vermeer is very difficult to sell. I don't think you can sell it. It's actually priceless. It's probably one of the most valuable things that was stolen, I think. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I always wondered how Vermeer actually painted. His stuff is incredible. There's only 33 known paintings accredited to him. So if you were going to steal something like a Vermeer, any Vermeer, you would do it for, I think, maybe two reasons. One reason is that you wanted it for your personal collection, like the Thomas Crown affair, or somebody wanted it, or you were to steal something like that because you committed another crime and you were going to go to jail for it, and you needed like something to get out of jail free card, right? Or something close to that. And I think Miles Connor actually did something like that. He's a pretty famous art thief here in Massachusetts, and he's got no connection to this whatsoever that I'm aware of. But there is actually somebody who does have a connection to it that I remember very distinctly when I was there, and his name is Richard Abath, and he was the guard. And so there's like two guards, but he was the one that I remembered the most. So when I was walking into the building itself, uh, Richard Abath, I hate to speak ill of the dead at this point, but he was very memorable. He was someone that I think my classmates were actually making fun of, and he was very flustered, trying to give a head count, and he looked like he. I hate to say this, but he looked like he crawled out of a dumpster, and it's he was that kind of guy that you don't forget, and I always kind of suspected that he had something to do with this, and I think the FBI as well. And I'm actually going to read his obituary and some other things too about Richard Arbath, and a little bit more context into the Isabella Stewart Gardiner heist. It is something that hasn't been solved, and I'm not entirely sure that it will be at this point. But I think you're going to find this very interesting, guys. So here we go. This is from the Boston Globe, February 28th, 2024. Guard who buzzed in Gardiner thieves years ago has died. Richard Abath was long scrutinized but stood by his innocence in famous Art Heist by Shelley Murphy. Richard Rick Abath, the guard who opened the door to two thieves who robbed Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardiner Museum of masterpieces worth more than $500 million in 1990, died Friday at his Vermont home, according to his attorney. He died peacefully at home after a long illness, Abath's attorney, George Gromley, said during a telephone interview Tuesday. Sadly, it's the death of a good person who demonstrated that by living a good life that belied all of the suspicions about what his involvement was in this incident 34 years ago. Abath, 57, steadfastly maintained that he played no role in what remains the largest art heist in history and one of Boston's most notorious unsolved mysteries. Yet, he maintained under intense scrutiny over the decades by federal investigators who never ruled out the possibility that the thieves had help from someone with inside knowledge about security at the museum. Abath was a 23-year-old musician working as a night watchman at the Gardiner Museum at 1:24 a.m. on March 18, 1990, when he buzzed the door to let the thieves inside after they claimed that they were police officers investigating a disturbance. The thieves handcuffed and duct taped Abath and the other guard on duty and left them in the basement while they spent 81 minutes pulling and slashing treasured works from their frames. They stole 13 pieces, including 3 Rembrandts, among them his only seascape, The Storm of the Sea of Galilee, Vermeer's The Concert, works by Manet, Frank, and Degas, and ancient Chinese vase, and a bronze eagle final atop a Napoleonic flag. Nobody has ever been charged with the crime, and none of the works have ever been recovered, despite a $10 million reward for information leading to the safe return and promises of immunity. For him, it was just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, said Gromley, adding that Abath believed he had to open the door to the pair claiming to be police officers. His actions were completely appropriate, and this became a curse that he was forced to live with. On Tuesday, Donna Hardwick, a spokesman for the museum, released a statement saying, "We are very sorry to learn of Richard Abath's passing. The Isabella Stewart Gardiner Museum would like to extend our condolences to all his family and friends. Out of respect for his family, we have no further comment at this time." She said the investigation aimed at recovering the stolen artwork remains active and ongoing. Kristen Cetera, a spokesman for the FBI, declined to comment on Abath's death, but said in a statement, "As far as our efforts to locate the stolen artwork, it's very active investigation, and our focus is on recovering the art and returning it to its rightful place at the museum." Abath told the Globe in 2013 that he had told directly by federal investigators several years before, we've never been able to eliminate you as a suspect. Authorities have said that the museum's security protocol prohibited entry of unauthorized personnel, including police, but Abath said he was unaware of that. When the 2 men wearing police uniforms ordered Abath to step away from the back of the security desk, he complied, removing himself from the museum's only emergency alarm that could have alerted police to the robbery. Abath said he followed orders to avoid being arrested because he had tickets to attend a Grateful Dead concert later that day in Hartford. Motion sensors that recorded the thieves' steps as they moved through the museum indicated they never entered the first floor gallery where Monet's Chez Tortoni was stolen, according to the FBI and the museum's security director, Anthony Amore. Only Abath's steps, as he made his rounds before the thieves arrived, were picked up there, they said. The sensors also revealed that Abath briefly opened the side door to the museum on Palace Road shortly before he buzzed the thieves in at the same entrance. They wanted to know if I took the painting and stashed it somewhere, Abath told the Globe correspondent and author Stephen Krigjanian in 2013. I told them, as I've said 100 times before and since, I had absolutely nothing to do with the robbers or the robbery. Abath moved to Vermont in 1999. He graduated from college in 2010, according to previous reports in the Brattleboro Reformer. Abath, who worked as a teacher, and his wife Diana lived quietly in Brattleboro, but were frequently approached by investigators and members of the media seeking interviews about the Gardiner heist, according to Gromley. He had been subpoenaed to testify before a federal grand jury in Boston several times, Gromley said. It was just an irritation that you couldn't escape, said Gromley, adding that Abath and his wife were very protective of their privacy and shunned most interviews. I think he rose above all this and tried, and I think successfully, to live a good and honorable life, and did so in a community that accepted him for who he was and what he was formally dragged into. Robert Fisher, a former assistant U.S. attorney who oversaw the Gardiner investigation from 2010 to 2016, said the heist definitely had an impact on Abath's life and brought him into the orbit of the FBI and an investigation that lasted for decades and is still ongoing. As one of only two eyewitnesses inside the Gardiner Museum at the time of the robbery, Abath was a valuable resource for investigators who frequently reached out to him with questions while reviewing the case. Fisher said he described Abath as a cooperative guy. As you learn new things in any investigation, it's helpful to reach out to people who were there, Fisher said. He was a piece of the puzzle. So maybe it's just me, but I always kind of suspected Richard Abath of something. I don't think he's a clean whistle here. I just don't. I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm not always correct. But there's also something else too. They definitely know who the people are who did this, who stole this. I'm pretty certain of this. I think a lot of people, including the FBI, are also certain that the two main suspects in this case are George Reisfelder, who consequently he died in July of 1991. His brother said that he definitely saw Monet's Shea Tortoni, and there's another guy too that was also involved in this, Lenny DiMuzio, and he also died, I believe, later in 1990 or 1991. That was a that's still an unsolved mystery or unsolved murder because he was killed and he had mafia connections as well. I believe New England Mafia, but there's also a few other guys that are connected as well, and I believe all these people are passed away. Robert Gentile, Carmelo Marlino, and Robert Donati, they're suspected, but my gut feeling is that these pieces of art were not it wasn't random. So I believe that somebody actually walked into the museum and kind of picked out what pieces that they wanted. And so they probably had these two guys, Reisfelder and DiMuzio, go in and take these specific items off the walls because they left other stuff there. So I thought this was actually really interesting, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this case. Um, One of my biggest problems, though, with this is that, well, first off, everybody involved, I believe, is passed on. Um, but the bigger issue here is the location of the paintings themselves and what kind of condition they're in. So if they do actually find some of these paintings, if not all of them, I don't think they're going to find all of them. They may in like 100 years or so, maybe one or two. But the condition is something that I really worry about, and especially when it comes to like Vermeer, because his stuff is like over 400 years old, and you just don't know like what can be salvaged, if anything, if they do find them. Uh, Restoration is going to be really tough. And then the thieves themselves, I believe it is George Reisfelder and the museo here. They cut these things out of their frames, so that's going to obviously damage them as well. And I hope they rolled them up. I think they did. Arbath here. It's very weird. It's very strange. I think everybody kind of says that it's what where he was and what he did was really strange. There's really no accounting for it. Why did he open the back door? I think he said he was out there to smoke, but that was against the rules of the museum. The security, it was really lax, and there was there was some things that just weren't taken care of properly at that museum. I actually have only been there twice. Once again, when I was in the sixth grade, and I saw these paintings, and then the other time was like 1997, I believe. And yeah, I think it was 1997. I haven't been back since, and I'm not sure I actually want to go back. I feel really bad. I mean, first off, Isabella Stewart Gardiner, she was born in 1840 and she died in 1924. She spent most of her life tracking down or trying to purchase a lot of art. And I think at the time when she was doing this, when she was purchasing a lot of this artwork, it wasn't worth nearly what it is today. To me, like she had a really great eye for art. First off, and she was quite wealthy. In fact, I think she went to Paris to study when she was a younger lady. And so today, all we really kind of hear about her is that her museum was a part of the largest heist in United States history. Um, I don't know how much these things would be worth either, and where they are. I have no idea. But again, guys, I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below on this. And until the next time, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.